reached out and asked if you had read the indictment. You said you read it word for word, page for page, right?
I did. I keep up. I love Jackson.
Even though they've not been in court and they've not been found guilty, it's just an indictment at this point.
They don't see it. My first statement was, think of your family. Think about your family. Put your family first.
I never thought in a million years we would have been put in the situation that we were in. Never. Because we went through our whole career doing the right thing.
It's utterly ridiculous to me. Utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Othor Cain Show. I'm Othor Cain. Glad to have you aboard on a Thursday evening. It's been a very, very, very busy day today. Oh, my goodness. I'm just shifting gears left to right, back to back, back to back. But we are here tonight. We are thankful that you are here with us tonight. We absolutely appreciate your support. And, I just want to say, quite frankly, we absolutely cannot do this show without you. It would be absolutely nothing. We couldn't do it. And in fact, we wouldn't do it without your support. So thank you. Thank you to all of you that have supported financially, support by watching and viewing, supporting by sharing. So share this so that we can pull more people in. Share this video so that we can pull more people into the conversation. What I really do like most is that it's the views after the show. Hey man, I'm Sissy, how are you? So it's the views after the show is where I am really, really, really impressed, and that's how we're actually selling it for the views, the total views, and not necessarily those that are on live. And so that support, man, it is absolutely incredible. So continue to support financially because we need it, and we are grateful. We are very, 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 very appreciative. So we didn't do a whole lot of promoting tonight. I will tell you, program wise, we had anticipated Grace Green, who is running for City Council Ward 1. She's running as an independent. Vincent, my brother, what's up, man? We had anticipated her being on tonight. She thought it was 8 a.m. Hey, Carol, and not 8 p.m. So that kind of threw us off, and we couldn't get it worked out after that. But we look forward to perhaps having her on at a later date. Y'all, it is campaign season. Things are in high gear. People are rolling. And so I want to spend some time tonight talking about our top 5 mayoral candidates, right? I was at church last night, and a guy showed me my graphic, right? He was like, sure, top 5? How did you come up with this? I was like, no rhyme or reason, just by the process of elimination. So I do want to spend some time talking about our top 5 and really trying to get a feel from you. Where are you in this thing, right? I am telling you, people are falling out. People are getting angry. People are angry with me, man. People are angry with me, and I love it. I love the fact that folk are angry with me. I love the fact that folk are trying to pitch candidates to me, and guess what? I don't care. Not one way. I don't care. Not one way of the other. Hey, Barbara, I don't care. All right. You have your views. I have mine. I have my reason as to why these guys made the top 5. I have my reasons as to why I'm not supporting certain ones. I mean, it's just mine. It's just who I am, and it's who you are as well. But I do want to get your thoughts. And so, because I think that we have to have some real dialogue, about these people that are running. And I think that we have to ask some real questions. I think we have to ask some real questions. Congressman Benny Thompson was at my church last night, He was our Black History guest speaker, and he did an awesome job. And he actually touched for a little bit on folk that are running for mayor, right? He touched on the folk that are running for mayor, and he too said, you got to ask some real questions. You can't just go with somebody who says, I woke up and I had a dream, I had a vision, that I wanted to run for mayor. And if you want to come on live stream with us, get in on the conversation, there's the link, because we certainly would love to hear from you, your thoughts. What are you thinking? Where are you landing, right? And Congressman Thompson actually echoed and verified what I've been saying all along. You gotta ask some real questions. Folk really do need to have a plan, right? Folk really do need to have a plan. We need some serious work in the city of Jackson. We need some serious work. Yolanda says she's choosing between Marcus Wallace and John Horn. All right. I would love to hear why. If you want to come on the camera, you can. If not, just type in why. Barbara says Wallace has been on her radar for a while. Sissy says Marcus Wallace. So it's interesting. It's very interesting, and I would love to know. I would love to know the why. Because I'm gonna tell you something. This is not a popularity contest, right? It's not a popularity contest, and there are so many people running. So we already know the vote is going to be diluted. It's going to be split, right? Roderick says there needs to be a serious debate with probing questions about how he, there are some females too, maybe she, he, or she, will improve the city. So I agree with you. Probing questions, real serious questions, right? And we need to hold their feet to the fire, right? We really need to hold their feet to the fire, and people have their reasons for doing whatever it is they want to do. People have their reasons for supporting whomever they want to support, right? And you should hold firm to who you believe in and who you want to support. And just don't let any Tom, Dick, or Harry try to sway you, right? Try to thrust a person down your throat, right? Just don't let anybody come along and do that. WAPT is interviewing a candidate every day, which is helpful. Yeah, and I actually like that feature. But there's nothing like having a real conversation. There's nothing like bringing them into your community, right? Bringing them into your church, bringing them into your community, and really having a serious dialogue. And so while I think that the feature on WAPT is good and it's helpful, it's not probing, right? It's not interactive. And they could just be spewing lies, hot air, right? Because nobody's fact checking them, nobody's asking them any questions. They're just there, and they're just yapping, no questions. And even the feature on LBT's LBT Plus, the online thing, that is so boring to me. I fell asleep on a couple of them. They're so long, so boring. And the lady that's kind of anchoring and guiding, I don't know if she's from Jackson or not, but she's not engaged enough to ask real questions. And there again, it's just giving them an opportunity to just spew stuff. And I don't think you get a full picture of who these people are on those features. I just don't think you do. And I'm not trying to hate on that. I'm just saying that's not enough for you to make a decision on, because there are no questions. There's no fact checking, right? None. And like I said, 16, they're just there. They're just talking. There's nobody with them. And the piece on LBT, the online piece, it's so boring. And again, I don't know that lady, the young lady that hosts that, I don't know of her connection to Jackson, because there are no probing questions. There's nothing in depth. There's nothing to hold them accountable to. It's like she doesn't know any issues, right? And so, you're left to do your own work, right? Your own research, your own homework. You're left to do that, and you should do that, right? You shouldn't even depend on this platform. You should do your own research. You should, reach out and invite them into your space. And if they can't come into your space, if they can't come into your space, then you shouldn't give them your vote. You shouldn't give them your vote. If they can't come into your space, you shouldn't give them your vote. And I mean that wholeheartedly. I mean that wholeheartedly. If if they can't come into your space, they can't come into your hood. They can't come into your church. They can't come into your neighborhood. If they can't come into your space, then I wouldn't be thinking about them. I wouldn't give them my vote. I wouldn't give them my vote at all. I really wouldn't. Robert says we should have some apparatus as a community to vet and choose the top 5 candidates who run for public office in this city. More than 5 is too many, in my opinion. Yeah, I wish there was a way to do that, but democracy, I don't think that you can. There needs to be. I wish there was a way that you could do that. Roger says, where would you think a debate could take place where individuals from the entire city could ask questions? Well, first of all, I think it's too many. I think it's entirely too many. And I just think somebody has to be bold enough to say, narrow the list down and get those folk who are real serious contenders in a room. And that's what I tried to do. And I'm not saying that my list is, well, my sinuses, y'all, my eyes are swollen, my sinuses are messed up. But and I'm not saying that my list is the best. But my list is a personal list. This is where I land. So I don't think that you can have a debate with 20 people and be effective. I just don't think that you can have a debate with 20 people. I think that whoever puts on aid or forum or whatever, I think they've got to do like I did and narrow the list down, right? Narrow the list down. All right. Yolanda says, from the list, they are the only 2 I think can move the city forward. I still have questions for both, so I'm looking forward to the event on Saturday to be able to have real conversations with them. So there is an event Saturday at Doolin Hall, and Marcus shared the details, and I don't know the details myself, but Marcus shared the details on Tuesday. So if anybody has the details about the event on Saturday, that will be good. Sean, I gave top 5, and we'll post them again. So I don't have top 3 yet. I'm still at 5, and I'm certain that list will be narrowed down. There's my top 5: Marcus Wallace, David Archie, Socrates Garrett, John Horn, and Chokwe Antar Lumumba. Those are my top 5, and I'm certain at some point it'll drop to 3, to 2, to 1. Because let me tell you something, primaries are April 1st, right? It's just around the corner. Hey, Tina, primaries are April 1st, just around the corner. And as voters, if you're not doing your own due diligence, your own research, your own homework, if you're not doing that and trying to figure out how to talk to them, shame on you. Shame on you. If you're not doing that, shame on you. Excuse me. If you're not doing that, shame on you. April 1st is just around the corner, folks. Just around the corner. But let us know who you're supporting or your top 5. let me know if your top 5 differs from mine. Let's talk about why, right? Let me know if your top 5 differs from mine. Let's talk about why. And maybe I can be convinced to change mine. I don't know. But let me know. Who are you supporting and why? So you're all my guests tonight, right? You're all my guests tonight. Who are you supporting and why? You know, what's your measuring stick? How are you being guided? How are you navigating through this process? Donald, I thought about that too, man. I thought about that. Donald says, how ironic the primary is on April Fool's Day. Yeah, that's very ironic, bro. That's very ironic, you know. And Lord knows, I hope we don't pick a fool. Wendell, no, we'll put my top 5 back up. No worries. Let's put that graphic back up. And let me know if your top 5 differs from mine. I'll love to know. I'll love to know. There's my top 5. Marcus Wallace, David Archie, Socrates Garrett, John Horn, and Chokwe Antar Lumumba. Those are my top 5 in no particular order there. But those are my top 5. Let me know if your top 5 differs. Donald says David Archie won't get elected, so we are good. Man, you know, who knows, brother? Who knows? Robert Shield says those are his top 5. Good deal, brother. Good deal. Let me know if yours different, or if you've narrowed yours down even further than 5. You know, I would like to hear that. Honestly, it's your decision. Tamika says, I believe Wallace says it is the February face-off at Dooling Hall from 11 until 2 with 11 candidates this Saturday. All right, good deal. Good deal, good deal, good deal. Jamar says, please also do your due diligence on the city council vote as well. It's so important to know who is representing your ward and what their policies and practices are. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Donald. I mean, Jamar, I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. Those council seats are very, very, very important, right? Very important. And so we're going to spend some time talking about those seats as well. So you're absolutely right. He says, please also do your due diligence on the city council vote. It is so important to know who is representing your ward and what their policies and practices are. Absolutely, absolutely. Donald says he wants to know more about Tim Henderson. I get you. I got you. I got you. God says I'm siding with Green for Ward 1. The jury is still out on me in Ward 1. And if I'm totally honest, and if I'm totally honest, and totally transparent, this is just the way my brain is shaped up. And I know you can have miscommunications. I know things happen. But I gotta tell you, I was disappointed that she is not on tonight. I'm disappointed. I'm just saying, if I'm a candidate and I'm reaching out, trying to be on somebody's show, right? I'm gonna know when the show airs. That's just me. I'm gonna know when the show airs. You know, as a campaign manager, I'm prepping my candidates. I give my candidates profiles on talk show hosts, their show times, and all of that. I'm not saying she has anybody in place like that, but if I'm trying to get on somebody's show, I'm gonna know the particulars, especially the time. So I was a little disappointed. So that was a red flag for me. If I'm honest, if I'm honest, that was a red flag for me on Green. Still gonna have her on. Still want to talk to her. Still want to get to know her. But that's just where I am. Yeah. So I don't know if my producer pulled a picture of my sleeper candidate. because we didn't show that on Tuesday, and I wanted to do that. And I don't know that we have a picture ready tonight. But my sleeper candidate for mayor, so I have my top 5, and then I have a sleeper. And my sleeper is Rodney Priest. He's my sleeper. He's an independent. So he'll actually be on the ballot in June. He will actually be on the ballot in June. Rodney DePriest. That's my sleeper candidate. Yeah, because I was a little disappointed. So if I'm honest, that's where I am. But I still want her on. Still want to give her a fair opportunity. But, you know, if I'm trying to be on somebody's show, come on, man. If I'm trying to be on somebody's show, I'm going to know those particulars. I'm just saying. That's just me. And maybe I am built differently. So a little disappointed there, but life goes on, right? Life goes on. But yeah, but talk to me though. Talk to me, right? I think with my top 5, you know, within the coming days, coming weeks, I want to be able to share some positives and some negatives about all 5 of them, right? And I want to be fair. I want to be honest. I want to be open. I want to be transparent. Because right now, I'm not behind any of them. Any of them. I am not overly impressed with any of them, you know, and me and friends, we've been having these discussions, and, you know, and some of the discussions move to a heated place, right? You know, I don't know, man. Some of our discussions have moved to very heated places. Um, I'll just leave it there. I'll just leave it there. Tina says, "Is it just me? But it doesn't seem to be any true grassroots campaigning. The minimal is being done to reach the communities. I don't believe that these aspiring politicians have learned that money and signs don't vote." No, that's a great point, Tim. That's a great point. That's a very, very valid point, which underscores what I said earlier. If these people are afraid to come to your hood, your neighborhoods, your churches, you know, your grocery stores, if they are afraid to do that, if you don't see them doing that, that means they don't want your vote. They don't want your vote. I think you're absolutely right. Money does not vote. Signs don't vote. Right? I'm telling you. I am telling you. I am telling you. Robert says we're on the same page. Carol says, aside from Lumumba, how many of your top 5 have ran for mayor in the past? For mayor of Jackson, I know John Horn. This is John Horn's 4th time running. He's lost 3 times before. This is his 4th time running. For mayor of Jackson, I think this is Marcus's 1st time. Marcus is a former mayor of Edwards, Mississippi. I think this is his 1st time running for mayor of Jackson. I think this is Socrates Garrett's 1st time running for mayor. I'm not sure about David. I don't know. David has run for a lot of offices. I don't know about mayor though, so I can't answer that with certainty. Who else is there? Marcus, John, David, Sock, Antar. That's it. That's it. Donald says, I think John is a good candidate, but someone needs to tell him to relate more to common people. He comes off way too arrogant. I think that is honestly one of my negatives with John. John is unrelatable to African Americans, right? Unrelatable, absolutely unrelatable. So yeah, so that's a good point, and we're going to talk more about that within the coming weeks. John does not relate well to common everyday voters. And I think that that's going to ultimately, as it has the 3 times that he's run before, I think that's going to ultimately hurt him, right? I think that's going to ultimately hurt him. Wendell says Marcus had signs on Pearl Street since the river since the river was a ditch. Since the river was a ditch. Man, you're crazy. Marcus has had that sign on Pearl Street a very, very, very long time. You're absolutely right. J. Mark says, unfortunately, name recognition alone still sways a lot of people's votes. That's the only reason a few of these candidates have the delusion of thinking they can win this election. You're right. Name recognition is huge. Name recognition is absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. Sad, but it is huge. Mike Raxdale, I don't know. Tell me what you mean when you say and did. Tell me, meaning I don't know. I think I know, but I don't know. Let's go back to I just don't I don't know if that's Barbara's. I can't see. Let me see if I can scroll up to see Barbara. I just don't understand why John wants to be mayor. It makes me nervous. It's interesting, Barbara. Yeah, that's very, very interesting. Y'all are touching on some of the same things that we're going to talk about when I get to the place where we want to break down pros and cons, positives and negatives. That's a good point, Barbara. That's a good point. Because says I like Sock, but didn't he just participate in a roast for Kim Wade for mayor at a location in Rankin County? I don't know. I wasn't there. Did he participate with Kim Wade? Interesting. Interesting. I don't know, man. I wasn't there, so I don't know. That's interesting. That's interesting. That's very, 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 very interesting. Roger says the candidates also need to go to the high schools and speak to the seniors and to Bellhaven, Millsaps, and JSU. Well, speaking of that, I can tell you there's a young man from Mara High School. There's a young man from Mara High School, Javion Shea, who is organizing a forum with these guys, right? Who's organizing a forum with these candidates. I shouldn't say guys because they're ladies in the race. Okay, I got you, Mike. Indeed. I got you. So there's a young man, a senior at Mara, and he's going to be a superstar. This brother is so sharp. But in March, he's organizing an event with these candidates. It's going to happen at Forest Hill High School. He has done an amazing job pulling these people together, and I'm excited for him. I'm very excited for him. So to your point, they will be at the high schools. Those that accepted the young man's invitation will be at the high schools. Don says Marcus had a very impressive interview with WLBT. I need to go back and watch Marcus's interview on LBT. I have not had an opportunity to see that, so I want to go back and look at that. Wendell says Marcus is the most relatable. Marcus is very, very, very relatable. He is absolutely very, very, very relatable. Very, very relatable. Let's see what's here. Oh, that is interesting. Cause so he sent me the flyer, the first of all, first and annual. Don't go in the same sentence, just a little secret. You don't put those together. First annual. All right. Candidate for mayor of Jackson, Mississippi to be roasted, celebrity roasters, Socrates Gary, David Archie is here too. Socrates Gary, David Archie, Cliff Bowen, Clay Epworth, James Hendricks, Ann Pruitt, Malcolm Johnson, Matt Bishop, Jerry Ricardo. Oh, and that's oh my God. Oh my God. Or maybe they didn't think that Kim would be a good mayor after all, right? They didn't think that. Greetings from Northern Illinois. How are things with my native city with soul? Dr. Corey, how are you? Things are good. Things are good. Trying to find us a mayor. Mike says Tim Henderson is a really good candidate, but some people can't relate to him because he's so military regimented. And maybe so, but let me tell you why I can't relate to him and why, for so many reasons, he's not a part of my top five. But let me give you one of the main reasons he's not a part of my top five. Because if you're seeking the office of the top job in this city, and you don't work a room, you don't speak, you pick and choose the folk that you want to speak to, you lost me. You lost me on that one, right? You lost me on that one. That means you can't relate. That means you won't represent all of the people. You just won't. That's how it came across to me. That's how it came across to me. But you say you've been holding that for a while. That is very interesting to me. Two candidates that are running for mayor participated in Kim Wade's roast. Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting, man. And this is a big game, right? It is a big game, a big game, a big game. It's just a game. It's just a game. It's just a game. You know. I'm gonna tell you something. For me, and I don't know how y'all operate, but for me, if you want my support, if you want my vote, you gotta ask. You can't assume anything. You can't assume anything. You gotta ask. Just like you going out here, you raising money, you're asking for money. You gotta ask for a vote. You gotta ask for a vote because at the end of the day, and Benny Thompson said this so eloquently last night. At the end of the day, the billionaire and the homeless person are on the same playing field when it comes to voting. Same playing field. Probably the only time they're on the same playing field. Same level. The billionaire and the homeless person. Same playing field when it comes to voting. We decide. We decide. Yolanda says, I experienced that at our Ward 7 Council Personal Forum on this past Tuesday. One of the candidates only talked to certain people, took him immediately off my list. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I totally drew a black line through Tim Henderson's name. You know, we were in Char, literally in Char, in the bar area of Char. Not packed in there at all. Not packed at all. He literally looked at me, walked right by my table, and I was there with a couple of people. Did not speak. Not one word. Not one word. And you, sir, you're running for mayor? Right? You need votes? Come on, man. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Tina says many of these mayoral candidates do not come across as relatable. Also, we need to keep in mind the meaning of insanity when it comes to voting in this mayoral election. That's funny. That is funny. Yeah, a lot of them are unrelatable, and that puzzles me that they want to be the mayor, right? That puzzles me that they want to be the mayor. Somebody sent me a text. I was trying to figure out what that is. I don't get it. It puzzles me. It puzzles me that you want to be mayor and you're not connecting the dots, right? You're not connecting the dots. You're unrelatable. That puzzles me. Puzzles me. But folks, let me say this to you. It's up to us. We get to decide. not Northeast Jackson Republicans, not their money. They don't get to decide who the mayor is, and whatever folk think their strategy is by running as an independent. Come on, man. Come on. Yeah, come on. No. Come on. Mm-mm, mm-mm. We get to decide. Window. Oh, let's explore that. That's a good comment. Window says the whole he acts a fool, but at least he's real act is tiresome. The whole he acts a fool, but at least he's real act is tiresome. Man, that's a mouthful. That is a mouthful. You know, and you know what else is tiring to me? Um, I'm voting for the lesser of two evils. That narrative is worn out. That narrative is tired. That narrative is disingenuous. Um, um, it's old, and we are better than that. We're better than that. That narrative is old. We shouldn't have to figure out who. And I'm telling you, and I'm not going to call names, not yet, but we're going to talk about this in the days to come. When I tell you that a lot of my conversations now with my friends have become heated, um, very heated, because it's like, you know, I'm gonna rock with the devil I know versus, you know, the unknown devil. Man, come on, we've got to do better than that. I'm with you, Wyndham. I do too. I am with you. I am with you. Roger says he probably became afraid of seeing you and was probably unprepared to answer any potential questions you would have asked. No, and if I'm honest, let me tell you what I really do think it is. I don't think it's that at all. This man is a military man, and you know he's accustomed to answering questions right off the bat. And in that setting, in Char was not the place to have 50 million questions. Let me tell you um, um, what I think it is. So he was with, I think, the guy that's serving as his campaign manager. He was with him. Sherry Jones, I think is his name. He was with him. And I just can't stand Sherry Jones, right? Just don't like him, period. Don't like him. Don't like him, right? Um, don't like him. Um, but he was with him. And it is my assumption, because I don't know, because he didn't stop and talk, but we made eye contact, didn't stop and talk. But it's my assumption that that's why he did it. Now, man, if you're running for mayor, I don't care who around you don't like me, but you need my vote. And I'm not saying my vote is the end all be all. I'm not saying that at all. But you need everybody's support and everybody's vote. Yeah. I don't know if Tim Henderson's Carol. I don't know if Tim Henderson is related to Dr. Eldridge Henderson. I don't know that. I have no idea. Yeah, Tina, Rodney Dupree said, I hate we don't have a picture, but I promise you I'll have a picture of him next week. He is my sleeper. So I got my 5, and I got my sleeper. And there are many reasons why he's a sleeper. He grew up in Jackson. You know, he and albeit a different time, but he grew up over in the Ellis Avenue area. And when I heard his Facebook promo, and when I listened to it and heard it and watched it and dissected it, you know, the first thing that I said, he's more relatable than some of these black folk running for mayor. That's what I said to myself. That's how I felt when I heard it. I was like, there's a candidate in my top 5 who I don't think will even go over on Ellis Avenue in campaign. And again, I say to you, If they are afraid to come to your hood, you should be afraid to give them your vote. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You got to earn my vote. You just can't take it for granted. My vote is sacred. My vote is sacred. My vote is mine. My vote is authentically me. Right? Well, Mike says, at this point, Jackson needs a serious change in leadership and vision. I hate to use the cliche that it can't get any worse, but let's be honest. Well, let's be honest. It can get worse. It absolutely can. We haven't hit total rock bottom. Not yet. We've had some lows, but we haven't bottomed out. So it can get worse. And Wendell, that's me, brother. That's me. I don't care who you're with. I think the right mayoral candidate should have the confidence and charisma to speak with anyone, anytime, at any place. I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree. But yeah, Mike, I'm sorry, Jackson could get worse. We've not bottomed out yet, you know. And I know folk like to take cheap shots and pot shots at Jackson, but I love Jackson, right? Can leave many opportunities. I've lived in Atlanta, I've lived in Boston, many opportunities to leave, you know, in recent years, could leave. But I deliberately stayed because I love Jackson, right? I'm telling you, I do. Hey, friend, who grew up on Ellis Avenue? Rodney Dupree. And I'm telling you, his background is impressive, right? Construction, Trustmark National Bank. Look at him, right? Look at him. Look at him. Do your due diligence. Do your research. Stop relying on sound bites. Stop relying on endorsements. And you know, for the last 18 years, we've rejected Northeast Jackson Republican candidates, and I think we'll do that again this time around. We've rejected that. We don't want nobody that's bought. We don't. We don't. We don't want that. If these candidates are afraid to go towards 3, 4, 5, and 6, come on, man. Come on, man. I've already said who. I've said Rodney Dupree. Rodney Dupree. Rodney Dupree is who grew up over on on Ellis Avenue in that area. It's Rodney Dupree. He's running as an independent, so he'll be on the ballot in June. He won't be on the ballot in April because he's running as an independent. He's running as an independent, so he will be on the ballot in June. Mm-hmm. Mike says, I love my city, but it's exhausting at times. Will always be Jackson first. I just can't rock with the current direction and conditions. I see too much apathy and neglect. I get it. I totally get that. I totally get that, Mike. 100%. I get it. Jackson will always be number one for me. I will always defend and ride with it, but I'll always call leadership out and call out the ills of the city. But again, it is up to us, right? We get to decide, you know, and all that apathy, right? And in all the spaces where it seems hopeless, we get to decide who the mayor is. Ooh, Wendell, you're on it right there, bro. You're on it. We got a bought president, don't need a bought mayor. Say that again for the people in the back. Say that again for the people in the back. We got a bought president. Elon Musk bought it. We have a bought president. We don't need a bought mayor. We don't. We don't. At all, we don't. At all, we don't. We don't. We got to vote. We got to do our homework. We've got to do our homework. Christine says, I hope these candidates get out and meet the citizens and talk with them about issues. They have got to plaster themselves everywhere. Go to the churches, grocery stores, events, street corners, etc. Totally, 100% agree. I totally 100% agree. Mike says, I'm so afraid the current leadership will win by default. I'm gonna tell you something, brother. That's a real possibility. That's a real possibility. And I'm gonna say this. That's a real possibility. But let me be very, very clear. It is projected to go to a runoff because of the sheer number of people. So they're like 14 or 15 on the Democratic ticket. So it is projected to go to a runoff. Hear me and hear me well. Depending on who's in the runoff. So let's just say Antar for sure makes it to the runoff. Don't know that, but let's just say Chokwe Antar Lumumba makes it to the runoff. This is me. Just me. Let's just say Chokwe Antar Lumumba makes it to the runoff. Depending on who's in the runoff with him, he just might get my vote. That's where I am. That's where I am. That's where I am. Depending on who's in the runoff with him, he just might get my vote. Desmond goes, and there you go. Well, it's the truth. It's the truth, Desmond. We have a bought president. We don't need a bought mayor. How much money did you give him, Barney? William, you're not sure how what will work out. Talk to me. Talk to him. I truly think the elderly people are tired of current leadership. I think it's about to be on. We shall see. We shall see. We shall see. All right, these comments are going fast. I can't keep up. Jimar says we also have to keep pressure on whoever gets the mayoral seat. It doesn't stop at the voting booth. Whoever wins, we have to. Oh my God. Okay. Can't keep up with these comments. Whoever wins, we have to stay on their necks once they get in, mayor and city council. You're absolutely right. Let me expound on that. Why? That's part of the problem as to why we're in the shape that we're in. So can you hold instead of posting the comments right now and let me just call them up because it's a little confusing. So just hold them and let me call them up. That's part of the problem. That's absolutely part of the problem. And these politicians take advantage of that, right? They take advantage of that. They take advantage of campaigning, buying chicken dinners at your churches, buying ads in the souvenir booklet donated to the building fund. Ain't nothing been built in 35, 40 years. They take advantage of doing that and luring you in on the campaign trail. They also take advantage of the fact that they know once you vote, you're done. You're disengaged, right? Once you vote, you walk away until it's time to complain. You walk away. They know that. They know that. They take advantage of that. They know that. They know that. Mike, I'm telling you, fish fries, all of that, hot dogs, hamburgers, radio remotes, they take advantage of all of that. All of it. Because they know they got you. Them little food, 2 pieces of fish, some hot sauce, some ketchup, and you walk away. You go vote and you leave. You walk away. They know that. They take advantage of that. They depend on that because they know you're not going to hold them accountable. They know they know you check out after you vote. It's over for you. They know that, and they take advantage of that. Right? They know that. William says, with it being watered down, that's what you're talking about, not working out. With it being watered down, I think we will get someone new. I think people are ready for change. I can say that with 100% certainty. First of all, let me tell you this. With 20 people being in the race, it's to Antar's advantage. We just got to be honest. We got to study the situation. You know, we've had too many examples. With so many people in the race, it's to Chokwe Antar Lumumba's advantage. And we just got to be honest. We just got to call it spade a spade. We just got to call it spade a spade. And come on now. He has a base. He has a core group of followers. He does. He does. He's not having to go out and campaign as hard. He has a following. And in as much as we think that federal lawsuit is bad, backtrack, let me retract that. In as much as I think the federal indictment is bad and should be a cloud over his head, there are folk out there that think it's a setup. Right? There are folk out there that think it's a setup, that think he's being railroaded. So what I'm saying is, we at some point, common sense has to kick in. At some point, common sense has to kick in, and we need to look at it from a holistic point of view, right? We got to look at this thing from every angle, from every single angle. Antar has a lot of pluses and advantages. We gotta get our personal feelings and our personal thoughts, gotta remove those, right? Because I had some folk to say to me he wasn't gonna qualify. He wasn't gonna qualify. I had folk say he wasn't gonna get his campaign finance reports in order. And I was like, watch, just watch. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And it did. And it absolutely did. All right. So it's on us. At the end of the day, it's on us. At the end of the day, it's on us. It's on us. Barbara says, Othor, at some point we need to talk about what the council can do and can't do. I don't think that's totally understood. Good point. We'll make sure that we do that. Good point. We'll absolutely make sure that we do that. We'll make sure that we do it. I guess the moral of the story is that it's on us. It's on us. It's on us, man. It's on us. We've got to do our homework. We got to research them. And one of the biggest standout to me is if they are afraid to come to you to ask you for your vote, you should be afraid to give it to them. They can't come to you and ask you for your vote, don't give it to them. That means they don't think you're worthy enough. Don't give it to them. And then if they do come to your hood and come and ask you for your vote, ask them, what's the plan? What's the plan? What's going on? What's the plan? What's the plan? What you gonna do? What's your plan for Jackson? A real plan. What's your plan for Jackson? What's your plan for Jackson? Man? We gotta ask the tough questions. We've got to. You gotta be honest and not be afraid of being honest. Folk don't like the truth. Folk don't like the truth. Hell, I asked the question, what do they do with the money that they raise at that MLK breakfast? And Earle Banks went ballistic. You know why? Because he couldn't tell you. He still can't tell you what they do with the money. If he had nothing to hide, if he was above board, right? If he had nothing to hide, if he was above board, he could have picked up the phone and called, or he could have made a post. But being the coward that he is, he had to make phone calls and do dirty work. Ask him about his record. Ask him about his record at the Capitol. What bill have you passed? What have you done for your district? Nothing. But y'all keep voting this man in over and over and over and over again. And he has not done anything for his district. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. One of the sorriest legislators at the Capitol. And he's been there forever. But probably one of the sorriest legislators at the Capitol. And Yolanda says he needs to do better at the cemetery as well. Just like that overgrown, wild cemetery. That's his record at the Capitol. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Mike says what the citizens of Jackson really need to understand is this very well may be the most significant mayoral election in the history of Jackson. The future of this city severely hinges on what happens. No, we hear that. We hear that all the time. I think that's a tired narrative. We hear that all the time. We hear that all the time, man. We hear that all the time. First of all, I think every election is extremely important. I don't know that this election is any different than the mayor's election 4 years ago, right? We're not on the brink of breaking, right? We're not at total disaster. So I think that that's a fear tactic, and I don't subscribe to that. I think that's a fear tactic, right? This election, while important, but every election is important. This is not the most important election in Jackson's history. Absolutely not. That's baloney. That's baloney. That's a tired scare tactic, my man. You know I ain't got nothing but respect and love for you, brother. But that's a scare tactic. And in fact, not only is it a scare tactic, it's rubberish, right? It's just honestly, and no slight at you, because you're not the only one that says this. It really is unintelligent conversation, right? It really is. Because this is not the most important election in Jackson's history. And I think, and another friend of mine who's a professor at Jackson State, he and I have these intellectual debates, all the time. And he's for a certain candidate that I honestly don't support. And while he has said the exact same thing, he was like, man, I'm exhausted. Man, I'm tired. We need better quality of life. And this is what I told him. And he was like, we need some white folk, back in Jackson. We need some white support. And this is what I said to him. If these white folk have the money, these Northeast Jackson Republicans, if they have the money, and Tate Reeves is governor, all these white folk that are in charge over here who still has some interest in Jackson. If they cared about Jackson, this is where I want to help you. And it's 9 o'clock, and I'm going to leave on this. If they cared about Jackson, they would help Jackson now. Forget about who's in the mayor's seat. If you cared about the city, if you cared about Jackson, forget who's in the mayor's seat if you cared about Jackson. Because let's be honest, all of the problems that Jackson has, they didn't begin when Antar became mayor. Come on, man. You can't lay all of this stuff at his feet. He inherited it. But he's in the driver's seat, so you got to hold him accountable. And he has his fair share of blame. But let's be honest. Let's be honest. In 1984, when Harvard Johnson became mayor, the first African-American mayor of Jackson, right? When he became the first African-American mayor of Jackson, that's when things started going down because they ran away. They were afraid. They ran away. Those folk, Tate Reeves, all those folk, if they cared about Jackson, Jackson could be better today, no matter who's in the driver's seat. But you don't care about Jackson. You care about power. You care about control. And at the end of the day, that's racist as a mug. Tina says, oh, well, I guess I'm unintelligent because I agree with this comment. Here's why we can't do 4 more years under this administration. What's going to be different if we change mayors? And I'm not advocating for him, but I'm just saying, what's going to be different if we change mayors? What's going to be different? If we stick with a black mayor, what's going to be different? Those people don't care about who's sitting in that seat if it's not them. Because if Tate Reeves, anybody in that legislature with power, if they wanted better for Jackson, Jackson could be better right now. Because if you cared about Jackson, you would do the right thing. What you care about is power and control. Wendell said 17% of Jackson citizens moved immediately after Harvard Johnson was elected. I mean, it started with Harvard. The decline started with Harvard. This Capitol Police stuff, that didn't just happen because of Chokwe Antar Lumumba. Come on, man. We've got to really understand our history and where we were, where we are, where we've been, and where we're going. Because we make all these statements, but we make them from feelings and not from facts. Right? We make them from, oh, no. Tina, I'm with you. I just don't happen to think that this race is that dire, that this election is that dire. I just don't think that. I don't think that at all. I don't think this election is any different from any other election. And if you think about it, we say the same thing every time there's an election. This election is the most important election. We say that all the time. That's a tired narrative that people just spew. People just spew that with no meaning. With no, you can't back that up. Why is this election so dire? Why is this election the most important election in Jackson's history? And maybe I can change my mind and be convinced otherwise. But why? Tell me why. Because you think that if we change mayors, all of a sudden Jackson's going to get all of this support? You think when we change, all of a sudden they don't want the airport? You think when we change mayors, all of a sudden they're going to say, oh, y'all can keep the airport? Right? So like Mike says, I totally understand the history of this city from Earle Banks to now. I've seen this city decay to a point of it being unrecognizable. I can't argue with you there. That's true. But what makes this election so dire? What makes this the most important election in Jackson's history? Because it isn't. It isn't. Yes, we're in bad shape. Yes, there are a lot of reasons to fault this administration. Absolutely, absolutely. But the decay of Jackson didn't just happen these last 8 years. And so for me, it's misplaced blame and it's misplaced anger. You think when we change mayors, all of a sudden, they will no longer want the airport? You think when we change mayors, they're going to get rid of the CCID district? You think when we change mayors, they're going to get rid of Capitol Police and get rid of that extra judiciary district that they created? You think when we change mayors, all of a sudden our potholes and streets are going to be fix? You think when we change mayors, all of a sudden, all of these Jackson will have an influx of businesses to come in? You think when we change mayors that the attitudes and mindsets of those folk at the Capitol will change? And if you think that, I got some swamp land for you that I can sell it to you for $1. And I think that you will become the richest person on God's green earth. He says it's an opportunity to vote out this administration. That's more than enough. Say that. Say that. And I can respect your feelings there, right? I can respect that point of view. I can respect that because you can own that. But to shape it any other way, as if, oh my God, Jackson's going to fall into a sinkhole if we don't get this election right. All of these magical things are going to happen if we vote this administration out. Give me a break. Give me a break. And I'm not advocating for it because there's a lot of blame to tack on to this administration. But what I'm saying is we got to be fair, we got to be honest, and we're going to talk about the real. And I'll end on this note again. For me, it is predicted to go to a runoff. And for me, if Antar's in the runoff, it depends on who he's in the runoff with. He just might get my vote in the runoff. That's all I got. Thank you, guys. This election is too important to sleep on, but it's not dire. Jackson's not going to fall off of a cliff. Jackson is not going to fall off of a cliff. Ooh, Barney, that's a good question. I don't have time to answer that. But we need to dig into that. We'll get into that Tuesday. I'll carve out some time for that. Remind me, brother. That's a good question. Remind me. And we'll talk about that Tuesday. That will take up too much time tonight, and it's time to go. Let me just say this to you. We get to decide who our mayor is. Not money, not signs, not arrogance, not cockiness. We get to decide. We get to decide. Mary says, Mary says we may be pushed over the edge. We may be pushed. I'll buy that, man. Now that I can buy. Depending on who we elect, we may be pushed. I can do that. I can do that. Leave it to my cuz. Thank you, cuz. He says, hit that cash up. Thank you, man. I appreciate the support. Guys, if you find it in your hearts to give, please do so. Cash up is $ Othor Cain. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We get to pick our mayor, not a sign, not money. As my grandmother would say, usses. Usses. We get to decide. Have a good night, everybody. We'll talk to you again.